Do you want me to call you Kyrus or KY or what do you like to
You
call
can call me Kyrus or Kai, either or.
Kai? Well, man, thanks for coming on. I guess I've done that classic thing. You write a book, you do a bunch of podcasts, and then you start your own podcast.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Topaz Adizes, and I'm the founder of the Emmy Award-winning series, The And. The And has been an incredible journey for the past 12 years. We've brought in over 1,250 pairs to have incredible conversations. Through this work, I've had the privilege of witnessing the bold and the beautiful and the heart-wrenching, the conversations that reveal us. And what I've learned through these incredible experiences is that life shapes us. Now I'm ready to share these learnings and reflections here with you to dive deeper. We're going to be speaking to people I find incredible. I'm going to be asking them questions that reveal their life's journey. In today's episode, I'll be speaking to Kyrus Keenan Westcott, known as Kai, the host of the podcast, The Vibe with Kai, a lived experience advocate and creator who uses humor and honesty to support introverts and neurodivergent adults in thriving. He is an award-winning young leader named among JCI USA's 10 Outstanding Young Americans. His unique offering lies in blending his own ADHD journey with practical tools, vulnerability, and a mission to break the stigma around how we think, feel, and show up.
Life shapes us for things, and I want to explore that. And there's a quote that's David Viscott says, the purpose of life is to find your gift, and the work of life is to develop your gift, and the meaning of life is to give it away. So our conversation here will be kind of structured on that. It's like, let's find what was the thing that shaped the gift, how are you developing that gift, and how are you giving it away, and what has shaped the KY that we know today. Your story could be medicine for others.
Yeah.
And so I want to have a conversation with you. It's like back and forth, it's like sharing from each other's lives.
Let's do it.
All right. So my first question to you is, if you're about to go to the pearly gates of heaven or wherever it is and transition out of this body, and you could only go to one place for one roller coaster ride, where would you go and why? Why that spot?
That's easy. That's easy.
That's easy?
It's easy. Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio, roller coaster capital of the world. They have the best roller coasters. I have a season pass there. I go there every year. And it's just such a beautiful escape for me, man, because I have so much going on in my life. And sometimes it's really nice just to be able to, legitimately go to another world. Like, when you're going up and down those roller coasters, I feel like it simulates life in a way. Like, there's like a fear and then like an acceptance and then just kind of tossing you around, and then it comes to an end. And it's just like this glorious, really therapeutic thing for me, and the roller coasters at Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio, the best for sure.
Is there if you had one ride, is there a particular ride that you'd be like, which one?
Yeah, it's called Steel Vengeance. It's called Steel. Shout out to Rocky Mountain Coasters, who designed that one. Steel Vengeance. It is just, out of this world. I've been on close to 200 roller coasters around the country. Steel Vengeance just takes the cake, man.
Why?
It's so good.
What about it is so good?
I judge a lot of roller coasters based upon my first experience on them, right? Because that first initial experience is what really shapes my thought of it. And my first experience on that was just euphoric. And I've never had, the first time I ever had that feeling was the first time I had ever ridden a roller coaster, which was Rolling Thunder at Six Flags Great Adventure. And my first time on Steel Vengeance, that was the first time I've had that euphoric feeling since the first time I ever rode a roller coaster.
And how old were you?
Yeah.
Like, how old were you?
Oh gosh, I want to say 11 years old, 12 years old. Yeah.
And you rode, what was the name of the ride, the first ride you took?
First one ever was Rolling Thunder at Six Flags Great Adventure, Jackson, New Jersey.
And you were euphoric. You were euphoric.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because I remember my first and last and never again roller coaster ride was Colossus, Six Flags in California, Magic Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never forget how I was gripping it, praying that I will never do this ever again. And I could probably count on two hands how many roller coasters I've been in my whole life, because so you compare all the rides to the first ride.
Yeah.
Euphoric. Mm-hmm. So is that does it get close to the first euphoria and none of them can, or what's that comparison?
Yeah, it's funny because it's not often that I I don't ever get that euphoric feeling again, right? So like I'll judge a roller coaster based upon just like, the speed and the excitement and all of that kind of stuff, right? But this was the first one that gave me that feeling that reminded me of when it was when I first rode a roller coaster. And that's why it's number one for me, because it was just like there was a fear, but then there was just like this rock and roll feeling, and I didn't know what was going to come next. Like I didn't look up the coaster beforehand. Like I knew it was there and I knew how special it was, but I didn't look up the layout. I didn't look out what it did, anything like that. So I had no idea what was coming next, and I rode it at night, and it's just etched in my memory.
At
And
night.
it was just, yeah, I rode it at night. Yeah. That was just so thrilling to me. It was just so thrilling to me. I loved every second of it.
Why wouldn't you go back to the very first ride? Like if you could choose any ride, why wouldn't you go back to the very first one? Why are you going to Steel Vengeance?
Like if you were to ask me this time 2 years ago, it would have been my first roller coaster, mainly because, and I'll never forget this. I used to be frightened of roller coasters. Like the idea of going on a roller coaster, I was like, no, absolutely not. Right. But I was at Six Flags Great Adventure, and I apologize if I start getting emotional about this part, because this is really, it means a lot to me. My dad, I always viewed as my like protector, and I was so frightened of roller coasters, but we're at Great Adventure in New Jersey, and
You're 11 years old.
Yeah. And I was
The
like,
first time.
I'm like, I just wanted to ride the other rides. And he's like, come on, let's go ride the roller coaster. You're going to like it. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. And, it took a lot of convincing, but he got me onto the platform, and I sit down, and when I tell you I'm clinging onto my dad, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going up the lift hill, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I am frightened, crying. And my dad, like right before we went over the hill, he just said, you're going to be okay. And I was, and I go down the hill, and I was frightened, but then I was okay.
This just feels like super juicy as a metaphor for life.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. I feel like that it's the perfect metaphor for life, because we fear the unknown. We don't like what we don't understand. And we often become, I guess, our own worst enemies, and we prevent ourselves from doing things because we're just afraid of what might happen. But then when we allow ourselves to go there and to experience something, it can turn out to be the most thrilling thing of your entire life. And I'm so glad that I experienced it, because it changed my life, and it changed my relationship with my dad. And I kind of started to view life that way. Like there's a lot of things that I'm afraid of. And like the process of going up that hill, the process of prepping yourself for whatever that thing may be, it's scary. And you're like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then the first time you do it, yeah, you're taking a chance, and you're like, oh my God, this blah, blah, blah. But then you start going through the ride, and you realize that you're okay. Is it still scary? Yeah, but it's thrilling, and it's so fun. And like that's how I started to view life.
And you realize that now looking back, or?
Oh yeah, looking back now as an adult, especially as I started therapy back in 2020. And I wanted to understand why I was the way I am. Like, why do I think certain things? Why do I behave a certain way? Why do I believe certain things? And I was trying to understand myself, and everything, for whatever reason, always came back to that roller coaster moment. Like that, like this, to me, like I felt like it was like BC and AD, you know, like it was like just such a big turning point. And like when I think of like me starting to change my life, like that's the first thing that I ever remember in my life being like, yeah, this changed me.
How's your dad now? How's he doing?
He's good. It's funny because my parents ended up getting divorced, right? And
after you're 11.
Oh yeah, this was as I'm an adult. I'm like, at this point, they got a divorce when I was in my 30s, so it was less than 10 years ago. And I don't talk to my dad as much as I used to, but I still love him. I still like, he still means the world to me, and he's still very supportive of me, and I still view him as a protector. I know if I ever need anything, he's there. We just kind of like went our own like separate paths for a variety of reasons, but I mean, I'm still in his life, he's still in mine, and I love him to the end of my days. It's just interesting. Like, as adults, like, it's just, things change.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't even know how else to explain it. It's kind of like friendships. Like, there's some people that you were best friends with, in high school, middle school, that like nothing necessarily happened. It's just not the way it was as you were when you were younger. And you still love that person. It's just not the same dynamic.
Yeah. I kind of see it like orbits. I've taken this like visual metaphor of orbits with relationships where sometimes you're orbiting very close to someone.
Yeah.
And then you just happen to be like, okay, now the orbit is like, and we'll see when it returns back.
Yeah.
So it kind of removes some judgment of where you should be and more just understanding that it's constantly moving. In my research, if you ask ChatGPT to describe you.
Yes.
How do you feel about that description? Like, you ask the audience what they think. What did you think about that description?
It's so odd because it didn't say anything wrong, but there's like, and don't get me wrong, like, I work in marketing, right? So like, I am an AI expert. I've given talks on AI. And the description was correct, but it wasn't human. And I think that's the one thing that AI will always lack is nuance and context. Like, it'll like, there's certain human aspects that'll just always be missing. So was it wrong? No, but it just didn't feel right. That's why you can usually tell when somebody is either using AI to write something or to create something. You can usually tell because it just lacks nuance. It lacks that genuine human input that's needed sometimes. And I think that's what it was. So like, how did I feel? I felt like it was interesting. It wasn't wrong, but it wasn't human.
What changes would you make to that prompt, or not prompt, to that description?
I think what would be needed is personal experiences. Because it's like, it's describing me, sure, but like, it doesn't know me as a person. It doesn't know what I'm like as a friend. It doesn't know what I'm like, what I love to eat for dinner. It doesn't know my pet peeves unless I tell it, unless I were to take the time to tell it this stuff. But like, I think that what's important is that everybody views me, or you, whomever, we all view each other like differently. And we can describe each other, but like, to go into more genuine human detail about a person requires you to talk about your experience with them. For example, I could easily ask AI to describe you and your platforms and the films that you've made in the document, like all this beautiful stuff that you've done, right? But what it won't be able to do, unless I were to tell it, is talk about how much I appreciated the first time that you and I chatted. Like, and how would you tell it that? Like, how could you possibly even explain that to AI? Like, that, just that genuine friendship and camaraderie that you have with somebody, that connection, that chemistry that you have with somebody. Like, how do you even describe that? And so like, that's what I think it was, what was missing.
How will you describe yourself right now? Like, who is the Kai right now at this present moment in time?
Confident, but scared. And not in a bad way. Just like, again, scared of the unknown, like what comes next. Patient. Very hardworking. Lost at times. Alone, but not in a bad way. Blessed and thankful. I'm just very thankful. I've lived a good life. It's easy to sit here and complain about the things that have gone wrong, and I'm sure like we'll talk about the things that like didn't go right, but like at the end of the day, like I look back and I'm like, I'm just thankful. I'm here. I have a roof over my head. I have a car that gets me from point A to point B and back. I have Wi-Fi. I have, friends and family and like all these things that I think sometimes people just overlook or take for granted. And I have that. And so I'm just thankful. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
In your podcast for the new year, you mentioned that your goal is you want to basically tell your family and your girlfriend and her kids and some of your closest friends that you got them. And it sounded like financially. Where do you think that characteristic, that trait in you comes from, that your driving need or driving desire, not need, desire, is to basically alleviate anyone close to you need for working or for generating it, like that they're fully financially secure. That's what I got from that message. So where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I it's a big driving factor because I feel like out of all my friends and my family, I'm the closest to possibly achieving that, right? And it comes from a lot of different things, but mainly watching my sister raise 4 children by herself. And I remember wanting to be able to help more, but I was young. My sister's 12 years older than me. And I wanted to be able to help more, but I was young. And to see the struggle, to see how hard it is, to see her work multiple jobs to be able to support those kids, to see my dad work multiple jobs in order to support the family. I guess not even just like a financial thing, honestly. I think it's just a comfort thing. Just like you just don't have to worry about anything anymore. If you want it to still work, you can, but like you have something to fall back on or whatever it may be. I think honestly, the other big part of it is, and this is something that I work on with my therapist, I want my parents and my family to be proud of me. And I know they already are, but like I really want them to feel as though the work that they put into raising me led somewhere really good. And they can look back and be like, yeah, I did this right.
You want to know that they're proud of you. And one sign of that would be that you've been able to take care of them financially.
I think for me, and again, I don't know what their goals are, but like for me, I would just love to be able to just take care of them. They've taken care of me my whole life.
So were you the youngest in your family? Mm-hmm. You're the youngest.
Yeah. They all took care of me. I'm the youngest out of my cousins. I'm the youngest out of my siblings. I'm the baby.
So what I'm hearing is, did you grow up as a young person looking up to all these older people, whether they're adults or cousins or siblings, and they were struggling, and yet they're still taking care of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I looked at them and like I wish I could do more. Like I wanted to do more. I wanted to be able to provide. Like I just have this thing within me to say I can provide for something or someone like that. That idea is so exciting to me. It's so exciting to me. And like, I just strive for that. I push for that because it just makes me happy to be able to provide and to take care of and to take away any sort of stress that I saw that my family or my friends may have, to mediate that in some fashion. Like that just makes me happy. I love that idea.
The first time you had the roller coaster ride that gave you euphoria, and you've compared every roller coaster ride to that. When was the first time that you understood that this gives you so much happiness? Like, what did you do and how did you realize it? And then like, seems like you've been chasing that feeling too, to provide that to everyone. So,
That's a great question. I don't know if I can pinpoint the first time, but I can pinpoint like experiences, like being able to, like, for example, it's like small things, like being able to buy my mom dinner, or being able to, buy Christmas presents for my nephews and my niece, and to see the joy on their faces when I was able to get like, for example, this past year, my sister needed a new laptop. And so I was able to get her a new laptop, and to see, like, she really needed that laptop, and to see like the joy and the relief on her face after I handed that to her, it just, it took so much stress out of her life, and I was able to provide that for her, and she wasn't able to get that on her own. And so I had the means to do that for her. So I have the opportunity to change my life and to change the life of the people around me. And I want to, and to change future generations. Like I want my family to be comfortable, because it's not easy to have that comfort in today's world. It's very difficult because the struggle is real, especially right now. We live in a country right now where there's so much uncertainty. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And so to be able to just provide some comfort in a world full of unknowns, I mean, that's a main goal of mine.
So like you got to see your sister's face when you gave her the laptop, when you support her with the laptop.
Yeah.
Do you get the same hit? Because you're also in some way supporting the community that you have online as a mental health advocate, right? By being authentic, by being honest, just real. Do you get a similar hit of supporting people like you do when you support your family or friends, and you can see their reactions, you can hear their voice? Like, what is that for you?
It's a very validating experience, because it reminds you why you put so much work into it. Because like, to create this content, it's a lot of work. It's like having another job. And at times it's really difficult to see like where the work is going, because not everything works out. Not everything is a success. But then you get like a message or a DM or an email from somebody random, and they're just like, "Hey Kai, you don't know who I am. I've been following you for a while. I just saw a video that helped explain my ADHD to my family, because I didn't know how else to explain it to them, but I was able to give them one of your videos to explain how ADHD affects my life, and now they understand." That, I mean, it's little things like that. It's just like, it validates everything. I don't need 1 million views on a video. I don't need $1 million in my bank account. But like that one message, that one email that I can get from somebody that says, "Hey, you changed my life." Oh yeah. I mean, it's such an incredibly validating thing. And it reminds you why you put so much work into it. Because I have the ability to affect people's lives, and they're affecting mine. I'm learning from other people too. I tell people all the time, I'm still new to this. I was just diagnosed with ADHD and severe depression, generalized anxiety disorder, existential OCD. I was just diagnosed with that in the last 3-4 years.
So the first 35 years of your life, you didn't have a name for it. There were no names.
I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on. None. So I thought I did, but no.
Let's take the metaphor of the roller coaster. Yeah. You go up and you hang there, and there's like the greatest fear, and then it just goes, it launches. So what were those hills that like, you're like, oh, like probably like releasing the first video, or even deciding to like do the Good Vibes with Kai? Like, what were those moments, and what happened? Like, what was going through your mind in those hill moments that enabled you to step forward?
Yeah.
To get you to where you're at now. Yeah. Break it down.
I'll take it even a step further.
Great.
For the first 30 years of my life, it was in the same realm of me avoiding to ride the roller coaster in the first place. I was suppressing a lot. And mainly because that's just how I was raised. Like I was raised playing sports. Like, you're not supposed to cry on the football field. You're not supposed to, if you're hurt, you throw some dirt on it. You pull up your bootstraps. You just keep pushing for that. That's what a man does. Right? So there was a lot of suppression, but I was confused. I didn't know why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I didn't know why. I just felt so lazy. I didn't know why it was hard for me to pay attention. I didn't know why I would just randomly feel sad at times, even though nothing necessarily happened. I would just be in my room and be like, I'm sad. I don't know why. And I would blame myself. And so like, to me, it was like, that was not riding the roller coaster in the first place, just kind of like, or in that case, not even knowing the roller coaster even existed, you know? And
Right.
so in 2018, those three things happened when I lost my friend Ashton, ruptured my Achilles, end of the relationship. And just like, I felt like 30 plus years of suppression just like all came at me at once. And I didn't want to be here anymore. And I'll never forget sitting in my kitchen, at my old apartment. And in my kitchen, right across from my kitchen, there was like this closet where you would keep like the floor cleaner and the kitchen cleaner, all the chemical kind of stuff. And I'll never forget sitting in my kitchen, looking across at that closet and trying to figure out which one would hurt the least. Because I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk. I couldn't go anywhere. I was relying on other people to take me around. I couldn't even go get my mail. I lived on the 3rd floor and there was no elevator. So like even to go get my mail, I couldn't. I was working from home and this was before COVID. So like it's easy to like work from home now, but in 2018, that just wasn't a thing. And that darkness, when like allowing my brain to go there for the first time ever, was the scariest shit ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I can't stay here. And by here, I don't mean like the apartment. I mean like just mentally. I can't because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. And thank God.
Yeah. But what do you mean by that? What do you mean? But what do you mean by that? I don't know if I'm not going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. What does that mean?
I didn't know if my thoughts would win one day.
About suicide.
I didn't know because like I was able in that moment when I'm looking across. I was in that dark moment for a little bit. I would say like an hour. And I was able to bring myself out of it. Be like, Kai, what the fuck? What? No, stop. Right. So I was able to pull myself out of it. But like what scared me was like that I, number one, went there in the first place. And number two, what if I don't bring myself out of it? Mm-hmm. What if my thoughts win? What if like I just have a really
You're talking
bad
about the negative
day?
thoughts. You're talking about the negative thoughts win.
The negative thoughts. What if I just have like I'd have a very bad day and I'm just like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm a burden. Let me just make it easy for everybody.
Right.
Oof. You know, and like I knew I couldn't, I had to do something. I couldn't live there. What's really interesting is that even though this was happening in my life at that time, I didn't go to therapy yet. I didn't go to therapy until 2021. The only thing that happened in 2018 was that I knew I wanted to document the experience. I'm like, I knew I wanted to, number one, document my physical recovery. Number two, document my mental recovery. I didn't go into full detail because like I was like, I don't think people need to know that I, didn't want to be here anymore at the time. And so I'm like, let me just document and myself and just be a positive influence on my life or the people's lives around me. Let me be a positive experience for them. And like that is what pushed me to start Good Vibes with Kai, because I'm like, I can just be a positive energy force. And I realized that like I enjoyed making people laugh. So it's like, okay, if I can find ways to make people laugh, that again fills my cup, and that will maybe hopefully make me feel better. But it wasn't for another couple of years that I actually went to therapy.
And I have a question. So what I'm hearing is like you were in a very dark moment and you were wondering if these negative thoughts were going to win out. You were able to generate energy for yourself by making people laugh, by like turning your attention not on like yourself, but like, can I create reactions in other people that are positive? Yes. And therefore that gives me energy because I see them reacting. It's like you would think, well, if someone's in the shit and someone's really depressed and having a really hard time, how is it that they're in a position to be actually give positivity to other people when they're in such darkness?
Looking back, especially knowing everything that I know now, I realized that it was a coping mechanism. Right? Was it the healthiest choice? No. But in the moment, again, like I wasn't on the mental health train in the sense that I am now. And I realized looking back that it was a coping mechanism. So in a way, it was still suppressing, but like all I knew was that it made me feel better, to feel wanted, to feel that I had a purpose, like people enjoyed my company because I made them feel better. Like I felt wanted and needed in a sense. And like that was all I needed in the moment. A lot of things went unaddressed at the time, but it was like a temporary fix for me because I didn't know any better. I didn't know. Again, looking back at it now, I'm like, okay, yeah, I probably should have done this, this, and this. But like in the moment, like I felt that that's just it. I knew what made me feel good, and that was making other people smile, making other people happy, and I just shot for that. And it worked, and it led to where I am today in a sense.
There's a great quote that you say in the questionnaire that you filled out for me. You said, "Being truly honest about your mental health isn't weakness; it's strength, it's connection, it's survival." And more people need to realize that, because the second we stop pretending, that's when real healing begins. Tell me about that. Like, how is being honest about your mental health, how is that like weakness, strength, connect? How is that connection? And tell me about the thing about dealing with stop pretending and dealing with what is. How do you know when you're stopping to pretend?
When you're able to start asking yourself why, and you start taking the actions to understand why you are the way you are, why you think the way that you think, that's you not pretending anymore, because now you're making a conscious choice to try to just understand what makes you tick. Why are you sad? Why are you struggling with this? You're not pretending like everything's okay and that this is just a fluke or just like a one-time thing. Pretending is when you are consistently struggling with something and you there's no improvement. You're not really getting better. You're just kind of doing like these temporary fixes or whatever it may be. You're pretending like everything's okay. It's just like, oh, I just need to make this small adjustment. Everything's okay. But like, it's still like nothing's changing. But when you start to ask yourself, why am I struggling? Why do I feel this way? Why do I get angry when this happens? Why do I get upset when my partner does this? So on and so forth. You're not pretending anymore. You're trying to understand, because you're accepting the fact that you don't know the answer, and that's okay. And now you're going to put in the work to find the answer. And when you're able to do that, you'll start to understand yourself better, and you'll start to understand the people around you better. And as a result, you become a better person because you're able to empathize, you're able to sympathize, you're able to make better decisions. You're going to be able to understand and fully invest into yourself. And when you fully invest into yourself emotionally and mentally, therapeutically, you just naturally become a better person, a better friend, a better brother, a better sister, girlfriend, wife, husband, because you understand why you are the way you are. And that's a beautiful feeling, to know yourself. You're not pretending anymore because now you have the answers. And that's what I try to strive for.
How do you know when you are stopping to pretend?
I think it's going to be different for each person, because I think that there's various experiences that happen. Like for me, like the final straw for me was, and this was right when I knew that I had to go get help, was this was during COVID. And I remember I was sitting in my room, and I couldn't leave the bed. I wasn't sick. I just was sad. Nothing bad had happened. I was just sad. I was down and I didn't want to leave my room. And my roommate was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, usually if somebody would ask me that, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. No big deal. I just don't feel well." And so like this was something that was happening often. And for the first time, when my roommate would ask, "Are you okay?" I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, because at this point it was happening over and over again. Like I would just not want to leave my room, or I would not want to do anything, or I
Yeah.
was struggling to even push the start button on some things. That's when I knew, okay, there's something deeper here. It's not just me being lazy. It's not just me, struggling to get my day going because, oh, I'm tired or it was a long day. Like, I don't feel right. Nothing had happened, yet I would wake up and just feel like life was awful. It was like that epiphany for me personally that I'm like, there's something deeper here. And thankfully, the person I was dating at the time was somebody that was training to be a therapist. And she's like, "Do you go to therapy?" And I was like, I mean, no, not really. I mean, there's people there's mentors that I like talk to, but like I don't go to like a mental health professional. And she was like, go to therapy. I was like, okay, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I didn't know what to expect. But then once I started to talk to somebody that had like this 30,000 foot view, unbiased view of my life, and was able to like put a name to things as I was describing what I was feeling and what I was struggling with, like it cleared up everything. And just all of a sudden, the things that I had been struggling with for 30 plus years, it all started to make sense. And the signs were there my whole life. It's just, I didn't know that there were signs for this. My family didn't know. The adults in my life didn't know, because there's just this ignorance when it comes to mental health. And now everything became clear.
So what's the value for you that you experienced by having the name? By being diagnosed, by getting understood, and then the importance of it being properly. How do the distinction? Tell me about that.
When you are properly diagnosed, you're going to be able to manage it and treat it better, right?
Because you give it a name. Because it's like, oh, that's a thing now.
Yeah, you gave it a name and you have a reason now, right? It's like if my arm, and I always try to put it into terms like physical health terms, because usually that like helps people understand mental health if you kind of put it into physical terms, right? My arm could be hurting. I don't know why it's hurting. It's just hurting, right? And I kind of push through and I'm just like, oh, my arm is killing me, right? Now, there could be a variety of reasons. So you go to the doctor, and let's just say you go to the doctor and say, I have a broken arm, right? And so you start treating it as if it's a broken arm, but then you go to the doctor and then come to find out it gets properly diagnosed. Isn't a broken arm. Maybe it's osteoporosis, or maybe it's like it's something else. So now that you have a proper diagnosis, you're able to treat your arm efficiently and in the way that it needs to be treated. It's the same thing with mental health. If you don't get properly diagnosed, you might end up treating something that either A, may not be something that you have in general, or B, it may not be the full answer, right? Because all of these like ADHD, OCD, depression, anxiety, all of these things, they kind of mish and mash, and like each one affects the other. And so it's easy to sit here and say, I have ADHD. Okay, cool. But there's other things there. So like if you are treating your ADHD, but come to find out your ADHD is 3 times worse because of your depression, and you're not treating your depression, then it doesn't matter what you do with your ADHD, because the depression is still there. So now you need to be able to treat it correctly so you can knock out the whole thing. And I think that sometimes people don't do that. They just kind of like self-diagnose and they start treating themselves for something that is not the whole picture. That's why I'd say speaking with the mental health professional is the right course of action.
It's also the responsibility of the mental health professional to be accurate, no?
Yes.
A brother with ADHD, And I have two very good friends who recently, in their 40s, diagnosed with ADHD. And the common thing between the three of them that I realize, for me, from my POV, is they never call me back. They never call to check in. And part of me was getting a little bit like, God damn it, why am I always calling them? And it takes them forever to call me back, if they even call me back. And I sent a message, it's like, and only, I think the last 2 years, did I realize that they have ADHD. And that, like, my two friends who, I've known them for, one for only a year, is a new friend. The other one for 10 years, my brother since he was born, so 30 years. Did I realize, oh, wait, the commonality between the three of these guys who, like, I cannot get them to call me back, or they never call to check in. I mean, my brother even is so funny. He finally once calls in to check in on me, and it's on my birthday, and he's calling to say hello, to like call me back weeks after I call him. He doesn't realize it's my birthday. You know what I mean? And part of me is like, God damn it, dude. Like, what the fuck? But then I realized, like, no, that's ADHD. Okay, that, you know, and for me, oh, wait, to give that a name to them, it gives me a sense of understanding, a greater sense, a tool for empathy here. Like, I can imagine what they're going through, and I'm not going to project. But when I know they have ADHD, it's like, okay, that's something I can hang on and be like, you know what? That's a similar thread. I can see that.
Right.
And in that sense, it's helpful for me.
It's hard. It's hard because, like, I get that feeling, because, like, it's truly with, and it's not like this for every person with ADHD, but for people like your brothers and your friends and myself, like, legitimately out of sight, out of mind. And it's like nothing personal. Like, it even happens with people like my mom, you know, like I will, and I say that I made a video about this recently. When you are not directly in front of me, sometimes I will legitimately forget you exist.
Like, see, that almost sounds like narcissism, though. That almost sounds like narcissism. Right. It's like,
and yeah, which is, and it's tough because, but, like, here's the thing: it's not like a choice. It's not like it's like it doesn't happen with just people. It happens with just things. Like, and the example I gave in the video I created was, there was a time where I'm brushing my teeth and I hear in the next room my phone ring, right? Just immediately, I'm like, oh, let me go answer my phone. I leave the bathroom, go answer the phone. I end up talking on the phone for like 20, 30 minutes, you know, blah, 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 right? Hang up the phone. I'm like, yeah, oh shit. Never turned off the water. The water was running the whole time. Out of sight, out of mind. It wasn't purposeful. Like, it's just like you legitimately just went to another world. It's easy for us to just lose track. Like for a lot of us, even like time does, like, people laugh when I say this. I mean it. Time does not exist for me. I work on a different clock than everybody else. I have to make sure that I have things in place to make sure that I'm on time for things. That I text people back. So, like, I tell my friends all the time, double text me. If you're waiting for a response from me, double text me. I won't get mad.
So ADHD stands for what? Attention deficit
hyperactivity disorder.
So attention, like, to me, what it sounds to me is like you have hyperattention, hyperfocus. Where you can. So why is it called attention deficit when it's actually hyper? Like, what is that about?
Well, I mean, again, ADHD, and you mentioned this before, ADHD is a spectrum, right? So, like, there's some things that some people struggle with from an ADHD perspective that I don't, and vice versa. Like, for example, like, sometimes people with ADHD will either interrupt often, right, when somebody's talking, or they'll finish the person's sentences, like little things like that that I don't struggle with. Like, I don't have that problem. However, another example in regards to, like, the hyperactivity, sometimes people can't sit still.
Right.
They just can't. Like, they can't sit down to, like, watch a movie without being like, and getting all fidgety, right? Like, I have my fidget toys, like, but it's not because I can't sit still. It's because it's a thing called stimming, where I'm able to, if I'm have something in my hands, it actually helps me focus
Right.
on whatever it is that I'm doing. Right. In this case, having a conversation with you.
Yeah.
Sometimes if it's, doing, maybe it's like watching a seminar or a webinar, right? I'll be stimming. Otherwise my brain is just going to go elsewhere. So if I keep my brain preoccupied with something in my hands, I'm good, so it's different for everybody. And we're also still discovering a lot with it, because a lot of the initial research when it came to ADHD was done by white males, so how ADHD affects women is still being researched, how it affects the LGBTQ plus community, how it affects people of color. That's all still being discovered, because usually when you think ADHD, you think of like little boys not being able to sit still. Usually, like typically that's what you think, but it's a lot deeper than that, especially for women, because ADHD affects women completely different. It's a lot more internal than external. With boys, it's really easy to see. With women, it's not.
Well, give me an example. Give me an example of something, how it manifests like in females and not
Sure.
like males.
So with little boys, it's really easy to say, oh, he probably has ADHD because they are legitimately hyper, right? Like they'll like be in class and they'll just be all over the place, hype like that. That's not hyperactivity.
But
right?
what's the flip side of that of saying, no, he's just a boy. He's just running around. He's just a kid.
And that's the struggle. And that's why, like, it's really tough, because it's hard to say, oh, that's just a boy. That's just a boy being a boy, because like, why is that? Like being a boy isn't the reason why he's hyper. He's hyper because he has ADHD, or it might be something else. It might be a trauma response. It might be whatever. So it's never just like, oh, it's just a boy being a boy. No, there's something deeper there. You don't have things just because you're a boy, right? And so like it's a lot more external with boys. With girls, particularly, you'll find a lot of older women are being diagnosed nowadays as well, because it's a lot more internal. So that hyperactivity, it's not a physical manifestation, it's internal. So like that physical like movement that you'll see in boys, that's still happening, but it's a lot more in here. It's a lot more in the brain. So it's harder for women and little girls to focus sometimes, because it's just like they're hyper, but just internally. But that, how can you even see that? How can you recognize that? And that's hard. And that's why like a lot of the research, it's still fairly new. And that's why a lot of people think that this is a trend, or that, ADHD didn't exist when I was around, when I was a kid. No, it did. It's just we didn't understand it.
Tell me, what is existential OCD? What is that? That one is interesting. Like that one caught my eye. What is that?
Yeah, existential OCD. I didn't even know this was a thing. I was describing what I'm about to describe to you to my therapist, and my therapist was like, "Have you ever heard of existential OCD?" I was like, "No," and she was like, "I think that's what you have." And then we went on. So I'm gonna describe what it is by describing what happened to me. My mom lives about like 30 minutes north of where I live. And so about like once or twice a week, I'll go visit my mom, because again, my parents are divorced. My mom just lives by herself at in my childhood home. I'll go to visit her, and it's pretty much the same thing every time. Like when I go to leave, like I'll give her a hug, I'll be like, "Hey, I love you," and then I'll get my car. And when I get my car, she'll watch me go to the car, and then she'll close the door and turn off the porch light, and then go about her business, and I'll drive away, right? But there was this one day when I was saying goodbye to her, and I felt as though like I gave her a hug, but I felt as though like the hug was tighter, and it lasted a little bit longer than normal, right? And I was like, interesting, right? And then I walked to my car, and everything was normal. She was watching me get to my car, got in the car, but she didn't close the door. She just was standing there watching me. And so I just see this like silhouette of my mom in the doorway. And I'm like, what is happening, right? Driving home for 30 minutes, I'm just spiraling, because like in my head, I'm thinking,
that's it.
Oh, that's fate's way of saying that was the last time you see your mom.
Yeah.
That's the last time. And like, it was just like, right, started spiraling. Now, mind you, I've seen my mom like 85 times since then, right?
Yeah.
But I allowed myself to spiral because of those little things.
Yeah.
That's existential OCD. When you allow yourself to spiral, like to a point where you're just like manic because of like little things that have happened, then you start to get in your head and you just like, you just lose it. It starts to hit you where it's like, well, what's the point of life? Like if my mom goes, then what? You know, or if I die, like what does that mean for my mom? Like my mom spent her whole life raising me. My dad, I'm my dad's only son. Like if I die, what's my dad gonna do? Like he worked his whole life for me, and if I'm gone, like that's what I was allowing myself to spiral to, and it threw off the rest of my day.
When did you first realize you were funny?
This was definitely in middle school because I was 100% the class clown. 100%. Like I again, and this kind of is how it is today, but it was a lot more immature back then. I just enjoyed making people laugh. Like I'd like to be able to just say something funny and like the class would laugh. My sophomore year, I was cast as this one role in The Music Man, and like it was a really funny, silly role, and I just kind of fully embraced it. And it was right after college that I started doing stand up. You know, because I was just taking some of the random ideas that I had in my brain and random stories, and I'm like, let me just turn these into bits and jokes. And
do you remember the first time where you cracked a joke and you got a response, maybe even by accident? Was it in school? Was it at home? Like when did you first realize, yo, I have this tool in my toolkit?
That's a really interesting question. I've never ever thought of that before. It had to be something that I was called on to do something and I just decided to make it funny. Like it had to be something along those lines.
I've seen in your work, I'm going to call it your work. I mean, your work is your handbooks for supporting people. It's your content that you put on all the social media channels, right? Your stand-up, your podcast. But the work has like a humor, definitely an honesty and transparency, but it's like there's a humor where you're not saying everything, but you're saying enough so that they can fill in the rest.
Yeah.
And see themselves in it, even if they don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Absolutely. And it kind of harkens back to what you were talking about in the beginning of this recording when I'm filming something and it'll always cut back to just my face, right? Just like, right. And I do that purposefully. Number one, because like comedic timing is something that I think is really important. But number two, it allows people to fill in the blanks. Right.
Their own blanks, like their own
they'll
blanks.
fill in their own blanks. Exactly. And so like I make videos with levity, so it makes the conversation easier to have. And like usually the punchline to like the videos, it's just me being like, okay, right? because it's just people are able to just fill in the blank with their own experience in that moment. And that's why people will find it funny, because I'm not telling them how to feel. I'm not telling them how they should feel about something. They just fill in the blank and they'll be like, oh, I get why I've been through that before and I probably would have made the same face. The reason behind it might have been different, but the face is neutral enough that like it's more about the process of what I could possibly be thinking and processing in that moment, as opposed to me actually telling them how I feel. Cause like that's the funny part.
You know, when they fill in the blank, that silence and that look almost creates it creates like a camaraderie, if you will, between you or you there with them, because everyone is projecting their own thing and saying, oh, he gets it.
Yes.
Right.
100%.
Yeah. So let me ask you, so like, what do you feel life has designed you for? What do you think life has designed you for? And what have you seen and experienced that makes you think that?
I would say probably validating people's journeys. I feel as though that's my calling, especially in the mental health world, because it's so easy for us to feel alone and lonely, even though there's mental health struggles all around us. It's still likely for us to feel alone on our own mental health journey, or to feel like nobody understands what we feel, right? And so my purpose is to help people validate their journeys and to understand they're not alone. And I think the proof of that is the comments on my posts, the messages that I get. People are just like, yeah, that's me. I get it. Or thank you. I'm like there's people that will, I told you this before, like they'll give like a random video of mine to like their family or even their therapist and be like, this guy is explaining how I feel, and like, and they tell me this, and like that, it's just reassuring and validating for me. And I hope that like the videos that I create, when you're able to understand that you're not alone, that there's other people that have gone through this or are going through this, you end up feeling a lot better, and it's easier for you to take whatever action you need to take to improve yourself and to help yourself get better. It's a little bit easier because you don't feel so alone anymore. There's so much negativity in this world. I just want to be a positive force. I want people to be like, he's a positive guy. I can go to him and just like escape for 15 seconds.
He's a positive guy, even though he experiences darkness too.
I'm able to process things in a healthy way. Like, cause my videos, it's not me saying that things don't exist. It's not me saying that people should feel a certain way. It's just saying, hey, yeah, I get you. I understand you. And like that's a beautiful feeling.
Okay, so I'm going to play back what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you say that you feel that life has shaped you to validate people's experiences without judgment and to bring some kind of levity to it, or to show an example of processing it in a healthy way. And what makes you think that is that you're seeing the comments and the reactions you're getting from your work that you're posting out there.
Yeah.
But how did you get there? Like, how did life shape if that's the river, or if that's the canyon that we're looking at, what's the river of life that shaped it?
I truly believe that moods are contagious, right? And I found that we're often shaped by the people and the things that we surround ourselves with. I really want to be able to be a force of just positivity. So I think the river that I'm flowing in is just like, it's easy for us to not know where the river is leading us. And so it's easy for us to maybe just like not want to go down that river. But I want people to understand that you can go down that river. And like, the unknown is, again, it's scary. Kind of going back to the roller coaster side of things, it's scary, but like,
you're going to be all right.
You're going to be okay.
You're going to be all right. Like, we could be feeling fear and not knowing where we're going and getting shaked around in our stomach and our throats, but that could be euphoric and we're going to be all right.
We're going to be okay. Because it'll shape who you are today. Because like, I wouldn't go back and change a damn thing in my life. Are there things that I regret? Of course. Are there things that like I wish I did differently? Sure. But all of that stuff that happened to me, good and bad, shaped the Kyrus that you're speaking with today.
I love the metaphor of 11 years old, first one, dad taking protector, going, you're going to be all right. And then feeling euphoric, going, whoa, what can be scary can be good too. And that ultimately I'll be all right. Cracking jokes and realizing you're funny and like you can help people with your humor.
Yeah.
And be a clown. So there's value there. To 2018, 7 years ago, torn Achilles, breakup, passing of your friend, feeling depression, and realizing a coping mechanism was like, let me turn the attention away from myself and see if I can offer a reflection in others.
Yeah.
You know, you will never see yourself physically, ever. I mean, you see yourself out the camera, you see yourself in the mirror, but you will never have the experience of, unless you're like, maybe have an autobiotic experience, maybe then.
Right.
But otherwise you won't. But you do see yourself in the reflection of the presence of other people that are reflecting back to you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is also cool because I call it like tailor-made reflections.
Yeah.
It's like when you realize you're reflecting back someone to them, you can also choose how you're reflecting them back.
Mm-hmm.
You can reflect the negative side by being, oh, this fuck, or you can be like, okay, I'm going to feel empathetic. I'm going to like, so that's a beautiful thing to do. But like, so you took that coping mechanism and you offer value to people and you saw that positive reaction to them and that gave you energy, which is interesting because you're an introvert, which you need to recharge. So the socializing drains you.
It does.
But it gave you a purpose beyond you. Mm-hmm. And you saw that reflected positivity, which gave you an reason to keep going.
No, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. It's 100%.
Is there anything else that shaped you between the roller coaster ride in middle school and humor to 2018 to 30 years old that like contributed to that creation?
Think that one of the things that I've embraced recently that I didn't embrace back in those days was acceptance. Like, and this because it goes like the acceptance side of that roller coaster, where it's like, okay, after the first hill, like you accept the fact that you're on a roller coaster. You're not controlling the roller coaster. Like it's going to do what it's going to do, whether you want it to or not, right? And I accept that. And like that, like I wasn't like that. There's this phrase, you might have heard me say it before. And it's from the musical Hamilton, and Aaron Burr has a song called "Wait for It," and in that song he has a lyric that says, "I am the one thing in life I can control," and like that stands out to me because like I accept that I can't control what you think of me. I can't control the actions of the mailman across the street. I can't control how my friends or family feel or what their actions are. I can control how I feel. I can control my reaction to things, or at least try to, right? So when
you can also control the meaning you give things and the story you create.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so like I focus on that. I accept the roller coaster that I'm on, and I kind of focus more on that euphoric feeling that it gives me, or that fear that it gives me. I focus on that, as opposed to focusing on, well, it made a right-hand turn. I wish it made a left-hand turn. It's not going to make a left-hand turn. It's going to make a right-hand turn. I can't control that. I can control how it feels when it does make that right-hand turn.
Oh, that's beautiful. So basically, I can control how I'm responding to this roller coaster that I'm in, even though I don't know what direction we're going in, up or down, left or right. It's dark. I can't see shit. This is basically your first roller coaster ride. But I know that I'm going to be all right. And all I control is like how I'm taking it. So I might as well take it in a positive way.
And even if I'm not going to be all right, like more often than not, you're going to be okay. But even if something were to happen, where I don't make it back to the station, I still know that I was doing something that I loved and that I was living in the moment, and I gave it everything that I got.
You say that you feel like your life is designed you to validate people and their experiences. If that's what life has shaped you for, how are you developing that gift right now? And maybe one way of looking at it is that, like, it's really positive. And how are you protecting that gift? And what's the challenge of developing that gift? Like, what is the current thing that you're in terms of developing that gift? What are the challenges of it? And what do you have to protect? And when I say protect, I just say, you mentioned like you get a lot of one thing that reaffirms that that's what life is shaped before is you're getting these comments back. But I'm sure there's also trolls. I'm sure there's also a concern of trolls or like negative, or maybe becoming too dependent on that positive feedback loop. So tell me about developing that gift of validating people's life that gives you purpose and value.
It's all about staying genuine to yourself. I'm a big advocate of avoiding what I call toxic positivity, which is when you're positive to the point where like nothing can go wrong, or don't think anything can go wrong, right? And I think that's where a lot of these positivity influencers and content creators go wrong, because I love the phrase good vibes, right? But you'll never hear me say good vibes only, because that invalidates any other vibe that you might have, as if you shouldn't acknowledge it. No, acknowledge that shit, right? And so to me, every day, it's the answer to your question is going to be different, because when I'm genuinely myself and I'm just like listening to other people's stories and experiencing my own journey as I discover things about ADHD, about depression, about OCD, about like I'm discovering all of this stuff and I just tell my story or I make a video that has a little levity to it that explains how I feel or what I'm going through. Like that, it changes every day. And so I just try to be the most genuine human that I can be. And
but is there something
like,
you don't put out there? Do you have boundaries of self-protection?
Yeah, it is very curated. Yeah.
So then you're not being fully you're not putting everything out there. How do you, where's the line for you?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. So am I fully transparent? No, but I don't lie, right? I won't ever put anything out there that's not true, right? But I also don't put everything out there. Like, for example, like there are things that I struggle with. Like I don't put out anything that I don't have a grasp on yet. Like a decent grasp. Like I was diagnosed with existential OCD, but like when I was diagnosed, I didn't immediately start talking about it. I wanted to get like a better grasp on it and how it's affecting my life. And then I started talking about it. Right. So the line for me is me. It's okay. Am I able to put out this information and not just tell people how it is, but tell people how I'm processing it in a healthy way? That's my line, because like it's easy to just put out information being like, I struggle with existential OCD. The first thing that people are going to be like they'll see this video, they'll be like, oh yeah, me too. I think I have that. So what do you do, Kai? And if I don't have an answer to that, or at least for how I'm processing it, then what's the fucking point? You're just spouting information. The whole point for me is to educate and entertain. And so if I'm able to educate or, at least provide like a course of action or like point people in the right direction to get the answer, that is when I feel comfortable putting things out there. But if I don't have that, I won't do it.
You think there's value in showing people when you actually don't have a grasp on it? You think seems like you think that's dangerous or what?
I think the answer to that is twofold, because yes, I think it's important for people to understand that you don't have a full grasp on it. As a content creator, you have that choice to put information out there. And a lot of people do, which is great. It's just, I don't, because I have to establish that line for myself.
Is that for your well-being or is that for the audience's well-being?
I think it's both, but mainly for mine, because like it's easy to be influenced by what people say online. Like I'm at a point now where it's really easy for me to ignore stuff, but like, I try to just have like a good feel or a grasp on it, because that is going to help me manage it for me personally in a healthy way, without having like 45 million different voices in your head telling you how you should or shouldn't feel about something. Because that's what the internet is. Like people will put out their opinion, whether you like it or not. And so it's like, okay, I don't want to put anything out there that that I'm not able to manage or have control of, because I might be influenced in a potentially negative way by these other voices from around the world.
What is the thing that keeps you up at night these nights?
Not knowing what comes next. That's probably like the fear, because I'm a very...
Wait, hold on. This is coming from the fucking roller coaster rider in the dark who feels euphoria?
Uh-huh. Oh, absolutely. Wow. Because it can be scary sometimes. Like it's not always going to be, fun. Like not knowing what comes next. Like sometimes, you get that euphoric feeling, but like it's not always going to be like that. Like there's going to be times where it's like, I don't know. I might fall on my face, and just as a human, you're afraid of that. So like it's you don't know, and so like what keeps me up at night sometimes is not knowing if I'm walking in the right direction or if I'm even on the right roller coaster in the front. Maybe I should have went on that other roller coaster. Like it's this fear of not knowing what comes next that I sometimes struggle with.
And what do you do in that moment to find grounding or to continue go and keep moving? What do you do?
I bring myself back to reality. Like whenever I see myself starting to spiral in that sense, I focus, number one, again, on the things I can control. And number two, I remind myself why I'm doing it. And number three, if I find myself really spiraling, I ground myself by bringing myself literally back to the moment. What are the facts? Like what are the facts of the situation? Like what is the things that are immediately surrounding me? Like that kind of talk.
Mm-hmm. What did any illuminations happen for you or any reflections on this conversation? Did you learn anything that you or thought about? What came up for you in this conversation when you look at
the roller coaster metaphor is, I realized after speaking with you today, is a lot more prominent than I realized. Like it's really interesting because I knew I love roller coasters. I knew that it played an important role in my life, but to see how much I've shaped my life even more so than I realized based upon the idea of a roller coaster, it explains why I connect with roller coasters so much. And it explains how I've been leading my life, especially as an adult. And like, I knew there was a connection, but like after speaking today, I'm going to be writing down some stuff and be like, yeah, this is actually like really, like this is really an interesting way to live life.
I feel listen, like fractals, fractals is like a small point. You go back 6 times and it replicates.
Yeah.
So like when I look at a movie, for instance, if you show me one frame from a movie that I've seen, like you pause it on any 85% of the time, I can tell you what movie that is.
Sure.
And the reason is because like a fractal, like that one frame, the whole story is in that one frame. And I think the same could be said about our lives. Like that one moment, the roller coaster ride, like that one experience could be the fractal for your whole life. Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
And so, man, dude, Kyrus, KY, Kai. I'm going through all the names. KY, Kai. Dude, thank you so much for jumping on.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you so much for having me. Like, I really enjoy speaking with you. And I this is really, really cool. And like, even not just from like a entertainment and content creation standpoint, but just like from a human to human standpoint, like it's a really good feeling that I have talking with you. And I really do appreciate that more than you'll ever realize. Seriously. Thank you.
Dude, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I receive it. Thank you, brother.
I want to thank you for joining me in this conversation. I hope it had some utility. I hope it offered a reflection of what maybe life is shaping you for, and maybe it offered a missing piece to the puzzle of your life. It was a pleasure for me, and I appreciate your time and attention. Please subscribe to our channel so that you can stay abreast of all the new episodes we have coming out. And until next time, thank you so much. Guts is a Skin Deep media production. The show is produced by Gonzalo Torres Ocampo, edited by Sofia Requeri, with editorial support from Anthony Cabral, and executive produced by me, Topaz Adizes. Special thanks to all the guests who showed guts, without whom there will be no getting under the skin. Interested in joining our community and following this journey? Visit guts.podcast on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and theskindeep.com for in-depth conversation card games that create the space for connection, intimacy, and deeper conversation. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep having the guts to get under the skin.